Hello everyone, welcome to the Fam Sports Podcast. I'm Devin here with Logan today. We've got some interesting topics to discuss, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. How about that? Let's start with some highlights in the NHL. So last night, the NHL standings are heating up, playoffs are coming along. Bruins, they had a comeback against the Hurricanes, they won 6-4. Canadians beat the Stars 4-2. Senators over the Lightning 7-4. Predators, 100 points on the season. They climb over the Jets 3-1. Avalanche destroy the Wild 5-1. Wasn't even close. Flames and Oilers 1-0. Flames take the victory. And the thriller of the night, believe it or not,
the Yotes,
the Arizona Coyotes.
I love the Yotes.
Can't believe I'm saying that, but they beat the Kings 4-3 in a shootout. If we look at the standings real quick, Tampa Bay, they're at 100 points, leading the Atlantic. Washington leads the Metropolitan with Pittsburgh a point behind. Take over that standings. Wild card in the East, Blue Jackets and Devils. Panthers are trying to catch. Not quite there yet. Go to the West, Nashville, another 100-point team, second in the league, with the Jets right behind them in the Central. Vegas Golden Knights, your Vegas Golden Knights.
You're right. The best expansion team in the history of the NHL.
Yeah, it really is true. They lead the Pacific with the Avalanche and Stars in the wild card, but don't worry, it'll be a race with the Ducks, Flames, and Blues all in the hunt.
So right now is absolutely craziness for the NFL. Obviously, the Combine happened a couple weeks ago, and this week marks the NFL free agency going on. So we'll actually cover most of that tomorrow during our podcast after the first day of the free agency is over. But let's go to the NBA. Their season is winding down, and playoffs are really starting to shape up. So here are some results from last night. So we have the Pacers topping the 76ers, 101-98. The Timberwolves top the Wizards, 116-111. OKC, Russell Westbrook in his 100th triple-double, and they beat the Hawks 119-107. The Raptors, who are continuing to dominate, beat the Brooklyn Nets 116-102. The Mavericks win over the Knicks 110-97. The Clippers beat the Bulls 112-106. The Pelicans, my team, I don't know if you like them or not, over the Hornets 119-115. Spurs over the Magic in a slaughter 108-72. The Jazz beat the Pistons 110-79. Cavaliers, my man LeBron James, destroying the Phoenix Suns and gets another triple-double added to his impressive resume. And the Lakers will beat the Nuggets 112-103. So the NBA obviously shaping up quite nice, and we'll have more for that to come when our special guests join us. Let's talk about that.
So, NBA, one side of basketball, and you know it's March, so we're talking NCAA too.
It's that time.
NCAA, the brackets, they are out. We got some entry games going on. Last night, Radford took down LIU.
Their first
Brooklyn.
ever tournament win, believe it or not.
And St. Bonaventure beats UCLA.
Not bit of a shocker.
It was a little shocker for me. I thought UCLA
because keep in mind, UCLA was number 2 in the Pac-12.
They were. So they got both of their spots in the bracket, which is shaping up pretty well. We got a couple more games tonight, which is Wednesday. A couple games going on tonight. We'll see how those play out.
And then tomorrow is when the madness begins. Brackets will be busted. Have to think there will be a couple of upsets as well.
Oh, there probably is. Which leads me to my first question for you.
Let's hear it.
Who do you think has the best chance of being upset in the first round?
I'm going to have to go with Miami or Florida. I believe those two teams, you know, they have impressive resumes. They made the tournament. They both have a little bit of higher seeds, but I don't know if they can get it done in the actual tournament. But I don't think any of the top seeds, any of the 1 seeds, will be upset in the first round.
Don't think so. I don't think so either. Especially Kansas. I think they'll breeze past Penn.
I think if there is one team you have to question, it's Virginia just because of the injury that they just suffered.
My upset for this bracket so far, the big one I have, Ohio State.
That is huge.
I have South Dakota State coming out on top of them. I think Ohio State, they can't show up in the big games. You know who they lost to 3 times this year?
Penn State?
Penn State. You can't lose to Penn State and expect to win the bracket. They lost to Penn State in the Big Ten tournament. That knocked them out. That's why they're the 5 seed in the bracket down there in the West. So my next question for you. Who do you think has the best chance of winning? And who is your Final Four?
Well, this is going to come as a little bit of a shock, but I have UNC winning the whole thing. I think we're going to see them not only breeze through this tournament, but just impress the entire nation, and I think they're going to win. I also have Arizona going into the Final Four, Villanova going into the Final Four, and Michigan State going into the Final Four. That's my Final Four. Championship, Villanova, UNC. UNC takes home that national championship. What about you?
I have Villanova winning it all. I think their offense is pretty high powered. They got some experience from last year.
The number 1 seed.
I think Villanova, I think they're set. They are set to come out of the East and beat Michigan State in the Final Four. I think Michigan State will upset Duke, if you want to call it an upset. Duke has been a little inconsistent this season. I think Michigan State will take advantage.
And we've also seen a trend with the Spartans throughout the history of this tournament. It's either they get knocked out in the first round or they make a deep, deep run in the tournament. There's really no
in between.
Yeah, there's no middle ground for them. So
yeah, I think they'll come out strong and out of the Midwest and face Villanova. But Villanova comes out on top, I think so. And
question
on
is,
the other side of the bracket,
who's on the other side for you?
Big shocker here, Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
I think Gonzaga will come out. You have UNC making it. I have UNC. Now, I have them losing, but you'll never guess to who. It's San Diego State.
That is quite the bracket buster right there.
I think San Diego State, they're hot. They've been hot. I think they'll carry that through. As for the South, Cincinnati.
See, I just can't find faith in Cincinnati. I really can't.
I had Cincinnati going against Arizona. Both good teams, I think. Cincinnati's defense will come out and prove to us. UVA, I have them losing Arizona because of that injury.
Yeah, that's just huge for their defense, which is what they thrive on.
Right. So I have Villanova winning the final and taking home another championship. All right, so for some more insight on basketball, here we have 3 of our friends. They're guests for us today, Dom, Connor, and Shayne. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having us. Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Sure thing. So let's start with the NCAA. March Madness, full swing. Bracket, it's almost set. We got a couple entry games tonight. We'll get those out of the way. So let's start by hearing each of your Final Four.
Okay. Well, for my Final Four, I have Virginia and Michigan, Duke and Purdue, and then...
And who? If you had to pick a winner out of the 4, who's your winner in your bracket?
I have Virginia taking it all.
Virginia, even with the injury.
Yeah. I think they're a strong enough team, even with a little backset. I think they can handle it.
Got a little depth. Okay. Connor, what about you?
All right, I've got Virginia go to the Final Four, but in there I could see an upset. I could see Arizona go to the Final Four. Sean Miller's probably coaching for his career right now with the allegations against him. In the East, I'd say Purdue. I have them over West Virginia.
The Boilermakers.
Yeah, and Huggy Bear's been to the tournament 24 years in a row now, and he's very experienced. Press Virginia, I like them this year, but I don't see them going all the way. They haven't been as hot since the beginning of the year.
Well, I actually have a counter for you, Connor, because in my bracket, I have Butler upsetting Purdue. Do you think there's any chance of that happening?
That could definitely happen. This bracket's pretty open. You have some weakness. I think Villanova can go pretty far. I don't see Wichita State being that strong, but the Big 12's been pretty iffy this year, so if Butler gets over Purdue, which I could see happening, then, I don't know, you could have some interesting things happen. I always like the Indiana teams. It'll be a nice matchup to see these teams from the Midwest go at it.
Well, I mean, you brought up my favorite for the tournament, Villanova. I think their high-powered offense can get it through. So,
Definitely have the experience.
right. Let's move on to Shayne. Shayne, who do you have in your Final Four and your victor?
All right, right now in the Southwest, I got Kentucky and Michigan. Kentucky right now has been playing hot, and then that side, I really don't think they have that strong a competition. There's a lot of solid teams, but they're teams that don't prove themselves in the tournament, like Virginia and Xavier. And I don't see UNC being able to go back 3 straight times into the Final Four and the championship. And Kentucky's been real hard winning the SEC tournament and killing teams, and the young group, I think, is really starting to come together. And in the East and Midwest, I have Purdue and Michigan State. Right now, I think that Midwest is the hardest to get out because you have Kansas, Duke, and Michigan State. But I think Michigan State right now, with all the collective talent and experience that they have from last year, I think they're going to be able to pull away against Duke and be able to beat Kansas, because Kansas does not have the best tournament history, especially over the past 5 years. And Purdue's a team I could see getting upset, but I think that they're just a super strong senior class leading them with Isaac Haas, and I think that they can be able to make it to the Final Four. And I have Michigan State winning it all, and I think they're going to rely heavily on their star freshman Jared Jackson Jr. and their superstar Miles Bridges to carry them.
All right, sounds good. So, Connor, I go back to you. Who do you think is going to be, or what game do you think is going to be the biggest upset of the entire tournament?
The biggest upset? I have a couple double-digit seeds going to the Sweet 16 for me.
Like who?
I could see Loyola Chicago over Tennessee. Another big upset that I could see is URI over Duke in the second round, which is now the third round after they added the 4 extra teams. I think URI is a strong team. They've been very good for a while under Hurley. And I think if Hurley does well in this tournament, URI does well, he could see a job in either Connecticut or Pittsburgh in his future.
Okay, well, I actually have a quick question about that, because there has been some questions about Oklahoma being in this bracket this year because of their record and all, but you have to think of the star Trae Young. So you think he has no chance of beating Rhode Island in this tournament?
I don't see it. Over their last 10 games, Oklahoma's 2-8. I really don't think they even deserve to be in the tournament. I think there were stronger teams like USC and Oklahoma State that didn't make it because they wanted to see Trae Young make the tournament. I don't think he deserves that based on how his team's done lately.
Well, you did mention USC. Just a quick point. They were in the NIT tournament last night. We saw them in action. Went to double overtime
against UNC Asheville, of where they ended up victorious. So they are moving on in the NIT tournament. Obviously, it's very overlooked, but it was good to hear about all of your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Now let's move on to the NBA. Obviously, a lot of questions happening here because of
the playoffs are shaping up. So
yeah.
we got a couple questions for you guys. We'll see how you guys react. So let's start with Shayne.
Go to the expert. I like it.
So,
That's funny.
starting with the NBA for a little, who has your vote for MVP right now?
Right now, in my opinion, it should be a unanimous vote with James Harden. With the numbers he's been putting up, averaging 32 points, about 10 assists, and 6 rebounds. He has just led that team, him and Chris Paul, he has just led that team to new heights. And right now, they're sitting in first place above the all-time great Warriors right now, and they just aren't looking back right now. They won about 18 of the past 19 games, only losing a very close 2-point game to the Raptors. And he's just, a lot of people say he got snubbed last year, which I could agree with, but you had to give it to the guy who averaged a triple-double. But right now, it shouldn't even be a question with Harden as the MVP. You know, Shane, to touch on that also, I think it should be unanimous too. I mean, second in history. He's first in points for the season, second in assists, highest PER of the season, and his team has the best record. I like the way you think.
So, Squid, would you happen to agree with all of these points that James Harden is going to get the MVP, or no?
I would have to agree. James Harden's been incredible. And speaking of PER, another guy that could be considered for the MVP is the all-time PER leader, LeBron James, who is 33 and still playing his heart out. But I don't think that
Very iffy.
his team's a 3 seed right now, and they've been back and forth. They haven't had a strong enough year for him to be an MVP.
Very iffy, in my opinion, because right now LeBron is, in my opinion, still arguably the greatest player on the planet right now. But with the way that his team has been playing, how he has not been able to elevate that team, especially after the trade deadline, sitting as a 3 seed, I think that there's players like Anthony Davis, DeMar DeRozan, who should be considered over him right now in the MVP voting. And I think that right now, I think his name is just getting him top 5 consideration, even though he is still balling out, he's still in his prime. But I feel he should not be considered in the top 5.
You know, Shayne, Squid had a good point. This is probably LeBron's best year, offensively speaking. But, you know, it's just, I don't think he's at that MVP level that James Harden has been competing for the past 3 years.
It's been the way because LeBron has been he has been balling out. He's doing incredible. But the way he hasn't been able to elevate his team and how they haven't been able to win big games or have been losing to sub-500 teams, I think should really be taken into consideration when you have the Rockets being able to go out there and beat teams like the Spurs, the Warriors on a day-to-day basis and beating them by double digits. I think it should be unanimous and should be MVP.
Also, I would like to add, I think postseason play would have an effect coming into this. We haven't really seen the best out of James Harden.
I don't think you could.
Postseason does not affect MVP voting.
It's a regular season.
I see where you're coming from, but postseason does not affect MVP.
Staying in the East, I think there's some players that are undervalued. Victor Oladipo has moved to the Pacers, and they are right behind the Cavaliers right now.
No, the Pacers right now, I think, are like a 7th seed, and they're fighting just to make
they're right in the heat.
Victor Oladipo's been doing good, but right now they're not.
Not supposed to do well.
Victor Oladipo should not be in consideration.
No,
So-
Victor Oladipo will win most improved player. But
Yes.
he is definitely not. He should not be in
He should be an
consideration.
All-NBA, probably second
Ju-
seed.
just as a quick side note, guys.
No,
You guys did.
Colin has a point. Victor coming after that trade with OKC. They thought, Indiana got snubbed. They just lost their best player, Paul George. What did they really get back from that? They got Domantas Sabonis and Oladipo. No one thought this was going to be that great of a team. Now, considering it is in the East, the weaker conference. But Oladipo is still one of the top players in the East, and he's elevating that team to new heights. I think he should be in the discussion. But
So, just as a side note, guys, you guys did mention the Pacers, correct?
yes,
Yeah, so they are in 3rd place right now in the East, just above the Cavaliers, a half a game ahead.
I was taken. First time. There's always a first for everything.
So, you guys mentioned LeBron James as part of the discussion, but not quite up there. There's a couple players before him and in between him and Harden that would be in consideration for the MVP. But a question about LeBron that has been coming up a lot recently. Do you guys still think he's in his prime? Because I'll give you a quote that he had yesterday or today. I forget which day it was. I'm like fine wine. I get better with age. So let's start with Shayne here. Do you agree with the way he went about it? How he said he gets better with age?
I definitely agree with that. You can just tell. I mean, right? He might not be as raw and as athletic as he was beginning in the league, but right now his all-around game is just incredible. The way he is able to still elevate players, the way he's making his passes, coming out here getting triple doubles, taking over games when he needs to. Right now, this is the best he's ever been. As an all-around basketball player right now, he's in his prime, and I believe he will still be in his prime for this season and for at least another 2 seasons until he reaches the age of about 35 or 36.
the only reason I would disagree with that is because not every aspect of his game is at all time. Like I said before, his offense is at an all-time high. He's averaging 26 points a game, over 50% shooting. He even increased his three-point shooting. That's at 43%. His free throws got a little bit better. Rebounds and assists. He's number 3 in assists. I mean, his offense is obviously all-time high, but he hasn't been getting it done.
With his all-around play, he's coming out here getting triple doubles. He's coming out here running the floors in general. Back in his younger days, he wasn't able to come up. He wasn't able to run point like that. He was the guy who had to play off ball. Now he's just out here. He's just running the whole offense. Everything now revolves around him, and the ball has to be in his hands for him to make that play.
It's just the defense. Like, he's not. I think he's taking time off defense to put in more on offense. That's why we're seeing, he's had more triple doubles in this 1 month than he has like his whole career.
I can see where you're coming from, but I really don't think that you can't sit here and say that his defense isn't all that good. You can't sit here and say he's an average defensive player. He's still an elite defensive player. I think it's just taking back because he's not as athletic as he used to be. I see where you're coming from, but he's still an elite defender. You still have to make a game plan for him on defense.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
He's the equation.
Still the best player in the league, best player in the world, and I think he still has a couple years left in him until he starts, going off.
So here's my question: does LeBron and his team still have a chance to be the favorite in the East to make the finals, or can it be the Raptors, obviously, who are number one in the East right now?
I'd say without a doubt the Cavaliers have to be the favorites. I think you're a favorite in the league that you're in until you lose. And so far in the East, no one has shown the ability to beat LeBron, no matter whether he was on the Cavs or he was on the Heat. He's just run through the East. And I think until someone shows the ability to beat him, he still has to be the favorite.
I can't disagree with you more. I picked them as favorites only slightly. It's not as great as they used to be. We always say for the past couple years, we picked Toronto and we picked Boston, and they eventually, do lose. But I think this year is the turnaround year for the Raptors. DeMar's playing at an all-time MVP level. Kyle Lowry's still doing pretty well, and if he could show the playoffs, that will transpire. Plus, Serge Ibaka and Jonas Valanciunas are all playing well.
Serge Ibaka, we've seen him defend LeBron before, and LeBron has shown him up every single time.
Okay, but we're talking about
and the Raptors, speaking of being shown up, they've been shown up in the playoffs.
That is very true. Right now, you can't go against the Cavs. With LeBron going to 8 straight NBA Finals, and it's just every year, the past 3 years, teams have been, analysts and everyone has talked about, it's just the year the Cavs don't make. It's just the year LeBron does not make the finals. And especially you saw that last year, they lost, They lost a total 1 game off a lucky game-winning shot by Avery Bradley, and it was Game 4. I mean, they're going to run through. And as Don brought up with the Raptors, you could see that this year, but every year we have said that. And every year the Raptors have not played well in the playoffs. Kyle Lowry averages about 12 to 13 points in the playoffs, but he averages about 22 in the regular season. And right now it's LeBron's choice whether he wants to make to the finals or not. There is no team right now, even the Celtics, who has had their number this season. But without Gordon Hayward, and even still, I just don't think that they're proven enough that LeBron will be able to easily get to the finals.
So
right now, without John Wall, and with him just coming back, they're not going to have the same chemistry without playing it with him. But right now, I think the Cavs should still be a clear cut to go to the finals. And
so,
to add on to that point,
Celtics, we all kind of went overzealous on them at the beginning of the season. They had 2 great young players, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, who did extremely well, but they did hit the rookie wall. Speaking for Jason Tatum, they did slow down. The Celtics team isn't ready yet, and it's the same thing with Philly and a lot of these other younger teams. I don't think they're ready yet to take over the East. Toronto being the number 1 team in the East, record wise, I think they can get a couple games off of Cleveland if they play them. But
the max series I could see that finals going is 6 games.
Yeah,
that's the max I could see. Because right now the Celtics, I really don't think should even be considered right now, considering they have so many injuries right now. Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kyrie Irving, Marcus Morris thing's been hurt. They just lost Marcus Smart for, I think, the season, or at least until the rest of the playoffs. Right now, they're just so decimated with injuries that they really can't be, I think, in consideration right now to actually make a run to the finals.
Yeah. So I think we're all just waiting until someone can prove that they're going to be better than LeBron and the Cavs. And until we see that, then we can't really.
Yeah, because the regular season and postseason are 2 completely different animals, and that's when you really just see LeBron elevate his game to the max and has to do what needs to be done.
So, you guys mentioned the Celtics a lot there. Question about the Celtics. They are in the mix. They're the 2 seed right now, I believe, in the East. So we're talking Gordon Hayward here. Was he a bust? Or can he
Absolutely
fit?
Not. Yeah, I mean, you can't say that now. I mean, he destroyed his leg in the first quarter of the very first game. Can't say he's a bust when he hasn't been able to play at all. I mean, he's showing great signs during rehab, but Brad Stevens already announced him that he is done for the season, that they're shutting him down no matter what, which I think is a smart move. Right now, just let him focus on next year, just get as healthy as possible. And so, yeah, it's way too early to call him a bust.
And with Hayward, he has experience with Brad Stevens. Stevens coaching him at Butler, and he had success there. I'd look for him to have success with the Celtics, too. You can't predict injuries, and it's the same with all players. You can predict it slightly in other sports, and with wear and tear, well, look at Minnesota with Jimmy Butler. The minutes that he was playing were at such a high rate that an injury can occur there, and that's the coach's fault.
And plus, Jimmy Butler's injury was only a slight tear in his meniscus, and he should be back within the next 2 weeks, and especially before playoffs.
And I mean, we have history of seeing Gordon Hayward play. You know, he was the leader of the Jazz.
He elevated his game last year to make him an all-star, averaging 24, 25 points a game, really showing that he's coming into his own as a basketball player.
So we can see what he does. I think it's not really a question to call him a bust. You know, just kind of unlucky that he got injured. So next year, I can see him and Kyrie being top scorers. That team will be really rounded out.
All right, so let's real quickly move to the Western Conference here in the NBA. So we talked about the Raptors and the Cavaliers in the East. So in the West, we have Golden State and Houston. Who do you guys think's the favorite in the West right now?
Right now, it's Houston.
Right now, it's not Houston. Right now, it's the same situation with LeBron and the Cavs. The Warriors have been so dominant right now, and regular season and postseason is a completely different animal. And as you saw last year, James Harden against the Spurs completely just fell apart, completely did not perform to his level. And when Manu Ginobili blocked him on that last shot, that really just took all the life out of them, and they ended up losing by 30 points in the last game for the Spurs to advance. So right now, you can, as great as Houston is looking from their previous experience, and Chris Paul not having any good playoff experience either, you can't go against the Warriors right now for how dominant they were last year, sweeping the entire West. And just by the way they've been playing. Right now, they're dealing with injuries with Curry and Klay Thompson. But once playoffs roll around, they're all going to be healthy, and they're going to show everybody why they're the Warriors and why they're the heavy favorites.
And to add on to that, I can see why people favor Houston. I mean, they have the most efficient offense in NBA history. That's talking more than Lakers with Magic. That's talking more than Larry Bird Celtics. But it's true. If the only reason Houston has a chance against Golden State is if Curry's out. If Curry does not play for the Warriors, then they do not have a chance. And that's, as great of a player as KD is, I don't think he's not the whole for that team. Curry is the most important player.
Yeah, but Curry only has like a twisted ankle. I think they're right now only keeping him out just to have him out. If he really needed to play, he could play and still go out there and dominate. Yeah. But right now, there's no point in seeing the floor when they really don't need him to, because no matter one or two, there's no way they will make it to the finals.
Mm-hmm. It's just a more talented squad. They have better chemistry. So I think they know how to get it done in the playoffs. So we'll have to see if James Harden and CP3 can get it done.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up our talk about the NBA. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us once again. I appreciate it a lot.
It was a pleasure being on this great podcast.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk to you guys some other time. Thanks again. All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to Fam Sports. Let's switch gears now to another side of the sports world. We're talking about WWE and Wrestlemania season.
That's right. It's in full swing. We got a couple weeks left before WrestleMania.
Yes, we are on the full road to WrestleMania. And right now, we are going to talk about the match card that is set so far. Obviously, some matches are still up in question. Some changes could be made. But we're just going to go through the card right now and talk about each individual match.
So, let's start with perhaps the most interesting match on the card so far. The Raw Tag Team Championship match.
Obviously, the bar.
The champions, of course. Braun Strowman won the Battle Royale by himself
on Monday Night Raw. And you have to wonder if Braun Strowman, if he's going to win the Tag Team Championships by himself, or in the next upcoming weeks on Raw, if they're going to have him find a tag team partner. Maybe potentially Elias, after they just had this feud together. Maybe they could team up against the bar. What are your thoughts on this?
I think he'll go in solo. I think he'll go in by himself. He'll win the tag team championships by himself. After he wins, I think the WWE might have him get a partner.
I could definitely see that.
And I do think Elias is the number one choice right now for his partner after that feud. I think it just goes together.
I mean, Braun has just been tearing through Raw. Obviously, he's been one of the stars, so he could have the potential to shine on his own, but you have to wonder if that tears down the tag team division by itself. Like, all of the prestige that the bar has built for these past couple weeks, and obviously they didn't have any opponents for WrestleMania, but you have to wonder if Braun winning by himself puts the integrity of the tag team championships in question.
Yeah, I do think that's a possibility. They may have him find a tag team partner, which would be interesting to see.
And then up next, we have the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal. Obviously, this is for the women. They have their first Battle Royal at WrestleMania. So, who is your early pick to win this one?
I don't know. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be anyone. Asuka, we know she won the Royal Rumble. She's already in a match later on, which we will talk about.
And you have to think that Nia Jax is probably going to face Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship.
I would think so, which leaves the Battle Royal pretty much wide open.
You have to wonder if maybe Sasha Banks and Bayley, if they'll have their own match at WrestleMania, or if they'll be thrown in the Battle Royal. One of them could potentially win it. You also have Naomi and Becky Lynch on the SmackDown side. Maybe a member of the Riot Squad, Absolution. Obviously, they've brought a lot of people up, and they said it is also open to NXT as well, so maybe they could bring someone up to the main roster through the Battle Royal. So we'll have to see what happens there.
So the next match, the Cruiserweight Championship, it's the final. And so far we have one half of it. We saw that last night. That Cedric Alexander took the W.
Yes, over Roderick Strong. Great match, obviously, on 205 Live. They really have been building up this brand after a huge dry spout for probably a couple months. Now they're kind of focusing back on the wrestling, and it's just a shame that the crowd has been so dead for them recently.
Yep.
Obviously, after SmackDown and after the Mixed Match Challenge, there's really no heat left for these guys. Have to wonder, though, if who's Cedric Alexander going to face in the tournament final. It's going to come down to either Mustafa Ali or Drew Gulak. Who do you think is going to win that one?
I have Drew Gulak winning.
Gulak.
I think ultimately Cedric Alexander is going to win the championship. He's been on fire recently. He's been deemed the uncrowned champion of the Cruiserweight division. I think him versus Drew Gulak and Cedric, kind of opposite styles, if you would say. Cedric a little more high flying, Gulak more technical. I think it's going to be Cedric versus Drew Gulak.
See, I actually disagree with you here because I think Cedric Alexander could go up against Mustafa Ali. We obviously know they had that great match. I believe it was the week before the 16-man the 16-man tournament started, so we could see that potential rematch there, and we know that they can put on a good match. But I do think it could go either way, but in the end, I think Cedric, this is his time to win it. Obviously, he was set to beat Enzo for it at the Royal Rumble, and then the whole Enzo being fired happened, and now here we are come WrestleMania. So the next match we have here, the United States Championship, Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode. But you have to wonder if Jinder Mahal will be thrown in this for a triple threat.
I do think Jinder Mahal is going to make his way in there. He's been heavily involved, as we saw yesterday on SmackDown as well. He defeated Bobby Roode, if I remember correctly. So he's beaten Randy Orton and Bobby Roode now.
And here's my question to you. Do you think that this match could get bumped to the pre-show potentially? Obviously, you know, Roode and Orton, they put on a decent match at Fastlane. It wasn't the fastest pace that they could have worked. But will this get bumped to the pre-show, do you think?
I think it could. It has the potential to. I think the Cruiserweight Championship will be bumped to the pre-show. Perhaps the first match of WrestleMania. Not sure which way. That could go either way. But I think any of the matches besides the main championship matches could get bumped.
I could also see that. And who would you have this winning this match? Let's say if Jinder Mahal does get added to this match to make it a triple threat, who do you have winning this match?
I have Randy Orton retaining.
I could also see that.
I think he's just too good right now, and his career can't be much longer. We know that.
Yeah.
So I think Randy Orton will take that one.
Up next, Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. I think this match maybe has the most potential to change because of what happened to Shane McMahon. I have to wonder if he'll come back, maybe get involved. I don't know. This whole picture has kind of been foggy for the past couple months with those three going at it.
Yeah.
And obviously the friendship between Sami and Kevin Owens has been on and off. But let's say this match does stay as a singles match. It has potential to be match of the night. But who would you have winning this match?
Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn hasn't had the solo spotlight Kevin Owens had before. Kevin Owens, we know, was Universal Champion, right?
Yes.
And Sami Zayn
IC champion as well, and the U.S. champion as well. So Kevin Owens has really done it all here on the main roster. Sami Zayn, really nothing so far.
Nothing
He's
stands out
been
on
in
this
the background.
resume.
Yeah.
I think Sami Zayn would win that, and then possibly in contention for a championship later on. I think that would be a good possibility.
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
So, Intercontinental Championship. My favorite match of the night, I think, is going to be this one. The Miz, the champion. My personal favorite wrestler.
You do love the Miz, best heel in the business right now.
Best heel in the business,
without a doubt.
Finn Balor and Seth Rollins also involved in the match, and this match, a triple threat. 3 very good wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, we saw on Monday Night Raw Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins, and it was just a great match. I think it was just a small preview of what we could see at WrestleMania. Stakes are high, so you know Finn and Seth are going to put it all out there. Add the Miz to a mix, and there's your drama. You know,
and Miz, you know, he's looking to be the longest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and
right.
I believe he would have to win at WrestleMania for that to come true.
Yes,
I believe.
Yes, that would be true, unless he obviously wins again and ties the record with Chris Jericho for most IC championships held at 9. But I think that match does have potential to be great, and I think either The Miz wins it or Seth Rollins, just because of how great he's been. Obviously, he just rebirthed his career during that gauntlet match where he lasted over an hour on Monday Night Raw. So I think that match could go anywhere, really.
It could go any way, and my 2 picks would be The Miz and Finn Balor.
Okay.
I think Seth Rollins has the potential, after a mix-up in the rosters, to shift over to SmackDown.
I could
bring
see
a
that.
little bit of attention, a little more attention to SmackDown. We know Raw has more superstars, but I think Seth Rollins could get bumped, which means the IC needs to stay with Miz or Finn to stay on Raw. So I think those would be my 2 favorites.
Up next, we have the SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. Asuka obviously chose Charlotte Flair at Fastlane. They had a showdown on SmackDown Live to face off, you know, their first words with each other. Who do you have winning this match? Do you think Asuka's streak will be broken at WrestleMania, or do you think she topples the queen of WWE?
Absolutely not. I think Asuka takes this one. I don't think her streak's broken. I think she wins this championship. Then her first loss in WWE will be losing the championship at another pay-per-view. I think that'll be
maybe
her first loss,
maybe SummerSlam.
Could be SummerSlam.
Could be her first loss.
It could have a title for a year, and maybe next WrestleMania she loses it. We don't know.
I could see that.
But I think Asuka, her undefeated streak stays intact. Charlotte Flair loses.
I definitely agree with that for sure. So up next we have Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Ronda Rousey has been the talk of Monday Night Raw ever since signing her contract with them at the Elimination Chamber. What do you think of this match? Obviously, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Kurt Angle have not been working all year long compared to some of the other men and women who are employed with the company, and Ronda Rousey obviously just coming in, already having a WrestleMania match. What is your opinion on that, and who do you think will take the victory here with this match?
So, we'll start simple with the victory. I think Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle get the win in this match. Ronda Rousey just in. They want to build her up a little bit.
For sure.
She'll get her first win in WWE. As for them having the match, I can see why they're doing it. Don't think it's right. And here's why. I think the superstars that have been on the roster, come up through NXT, done everything right for the WWE, worked their butts off to get up there. And now a match slot's taken away from Kurt Angle, who's, let's be honest, prime has passed. Ronda Rousey, her first match in the WWE is at WrestleMania. Triple H, he's obviously had an illustrious career, so he's been at WrestleMania before. And Stephanie McMahon, who is an executive, along with Triple H, executives, and they're taking up a spot. So I think other people are more deserving of it, but I can understand why the WWE is making this match.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think, this is their grandest stage of them all. You know, it's their biggest show, so they want to bring in as many people as they can. People are going to recognize the name of Kurt Angle. People are going to recognize the name of Triple H. And it's going to have them buy the network, watch WrestleMania. So I can see your point of why they're doing it. I'm just not sure if it's completely right, but we've seen this with every single Mania, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any stopping it, but I can also see Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle both winning that match, and yeah.
So, a controversial match, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Universal Championship. Let's just start from scratch. What are your thoughts?
I think the build-up so far has been really great. I think it's kind of brought this side of, like, realness, you know, to this feud. Obviously bringing in the backstage area, Vince McMahon into the picture on Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns has been cutting promos of where he's calling Brock out for not showing up, not showing the same dedication that Roman Reigns is, which, let's be real, we're all thinking it in the back of our head about Brock Lesnar. But I think this could be Brock Lesnar's last match with the WWE as of right now. Will it be a great match? Yes. Will it go on last? Probably. And I think, obviously, this is a rematch from their WrestleMania 31 match of where Seth Rollins cashed in and won the championship. But I think this match will be the main event, will be star-studded, and I think Roman Reigns will have to win this match. What about you?
I completely agree. I think with everything going on, and Roman Reigns has cut some great promos. They've been terrific, I think, about Brock Lesnar and his lack of respect, as he has said several times, for the WWE, which Roman Reigns is now temporarily suspended for.
Mm.
But I think very, very, I liked how you put it, realness. I think that's what it brings to this feud in the company right now, which is really good for the viewership.
Yeah.
They can relate.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And now, here's what some people are calling the real main event, but there's another match in question. We will get to that shortly, but AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. The dream match, as some people are calling it. A rematch from their New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom match. And who do you think is going to have this one? And do you think this will be match of the night?
I do. And I think Shinsuke Nakamura has this one.
You think so?
I think AJ Styles, like I said before with Rollins, he might be in the mix-up of rosters. I think maybe AJ Styles, Seth Rollins switch places. You can switch up some feuds, have Rollins go against Shinsuke. I think Shinsuke is also pretty deserving of this. I think he's put on some good matches.
I would say so. The only worry I have about him is his mic skills. I think if he gets a mouthpiece for him, he'll be great. But I don't know how many people can draw in with his mic skills, you know?
Which, you have to think, Brock Lesnar leaving opens up Paul Heyman. But you have to wonder if Paul Heyman will move on to SmackDown or if he'll find another client on Raw. I think everything after Mania will be up in question, and I think it'll be a very exciting time to watch the WWE. And I think that match definitely has potential to steal the show, be match of the night, and I do think Nakamura could win it, but another part of me is telling me AJ Styles will retain at WrestleMania and get his Mania moment. Now, here's the match that is not confirmed. It's kind of up in the air, but John Cena versus The Undertaker. What are your thoughts on this match? Should this be the WrestleMania main event? Will Cena beat The Undertaker? What are your thoughts on this one? So, I'd love to see it. I really would. Never happened before in the history of WWE. John Cena, Undertaker, two of the most legendary figures of the WWE. obviously Undertaker, the face of WrestleMania, John Cena, the face of the company, I would say for several years now.
Oh, for sure.
And do I think it should be main event? No. And I don't think it should be main event. There's no championship. That's the main thing. I think championship matches should be put up on a pedestal compared to just normal matches, which, not that this is a normal match, this is two iconic legends going at it, but I think this match could have the potential to go right in the middle, I think would be a good slot for it, right after the short concert break if they have one this year. I think that match would be a dream match to see, just like AJ Styles and Shinsuke. I think Undertaker, we've heard he's been in decent shape as of late, I think.
Yeah, especially after last WrestleMania where he really, really struggled to get through with his match with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, so I think Undertaker, if he's in good shape, John Cena always puts on a show, you know that. He's great on the mic too, so he might cut a promo at WrestleMania. I think that match has potential to happen. I think it will happen, and I think it should happen.
I 110% agree with you here. So that is how the WrestleMania card is shaping up to be right now. We will come back to the WWE on another show. Thank you for tuning in for the first ever Fam Sports Podcast.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Obviously, tomorrow we will be covering the NFL free agency.
NFL, that's right.
It's going to be absolutely craziness. Be sure to stay tuned for it. Thanks again for watching. We appreciate it so much. And stay tuned. See ya.
See you guys.